Welcome, everybody, to our first installment of the Bringing Water to Life webinar series for 2017. We're very excited about this. My name is John Farner. I am the Government Public Affairs Director with the Irrigation Association, and for this series is our first of a 5-part webinar series that's going to last through the month of July, which we are very excited about. Our first one is about Plant Something, as you can see by the logo on your screen right now. It's a national initiative just promoting the benefits of plants, and we have a great speaker who I will introduce here in a second after I go through a few housekeeping items and some background on our webinar. So the first thing is this webinar is being recorded, and if you would like to reference any of the material that was discussed, go back and if you missed something, learn more about the initiative or about what we're talking about here at the Irrigation Association. This webinar is recorded. Will be available within the next week, hopefully by tomorrow, if not by Monday, at irrigation.org/webinar_series. As well as previous recordings of our past webinars are available as well. This is part of our Bringing Water to Life webinar series, so this is free, and the recording is also free to view via our YouTube channel, which is linked from that site that's on there right now. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to type them into your GoToWebinar toolbar. I will moderate a Q&A session with our presenter after the webinar concludes. I know we are hoping for some great questions about how you can participate more in this initiative, learn more about the initiative as an irrigation professional, someone in the irrigation industry, what you can do to help support this initiative. All those kinds of questions are welcomed, and we're excited for them at the end. But if you think of something, go ahead and type it in, and we'll get to it after it has concluded. We are offering a Tier 2 CEU for this webinar. Because you registered through our website, we have your record of attendance on file, but go ahead and keep a record of the date and the speaker as well of your attendance, just in case you're one of the lucky ones to get audited. You'd be able to reference that you attended this webinar to receive your Tier 2 CEU. So with that said, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Irrigation Association, this is our strategic plan. It's a 3-year strategic plan that was adopted in December of last year. Of course, our mission is to promote efficient irrigation, and the vision is really to be the recognized authority on irrigation. So where does this webinar fit? You know, I talked about Plant Something. We're learning a lot from our speaker on Plant Something. But where does this fit within our strategic plan? And it really fits everything. I'm going to talk a little about plants in a second, but if we look at education, it's what we're doing now. We're talking about the benefits of plant material and what that means to the irrigation industry. That really affects our public affairs and how people view landscapes and irrigation, and irrigated landscapes for that matter. So it really encompasses everything we do, and that's what we're really excited about, not only this webinar series, but this first webinar in particular. I like to, for those of you who have seen me speak before, and for those of you who have attended the Bringing Water to Life webinars in the past, I like to show this slide because it's really, everything about water can be seen in this one slide, and that is the water cycle. It's very simple. You know, you ask my kids who are in 3rd and 4th grade, but to finish up their 3rd and 4th grade year, what is the water cycle? And it's evaporation that turns into precipitation and goes back up through evaporation. And it's very simplistic when you think about that all the water we have on our earth has been here for years, and it just is in one of those stages of the water cycle. But the question that I like to ask is, where do humans fit into this? Because that is not seen on this slide. And for that matter, where's the plant material? Because plants affect the water cycle quite a bit, whether it's turf grass, a tree, a shrub, agriculture. Where does it fit? And so I turned to the United States Geologic Service, and I found this, which is the Kitty water cycle, for that matter, but it actually shows evapotranspiration and our 2 little raindrops or water drops on top of an apple tree, right center stage. It talks about the plant uptake of water that, you know, right now it looks like it's coming up from the soil, and that's great. And it's good to see that in this water cycle, there's actually a lot more information on this water cycle than the last water cycle that I just showed. But this is really what we're looking at when we're teaching our youth, that plants do have a big component and do affect the water cycle quite a bit, and in a positive manner, for that matter. So we call this bringing water to life, and you'll see a little dancing Groot on there, and there's no better way to bring water to life than through living plants, and that's what we do at the irrigation, through irrigation, is that we take water, we apply them to living things that grow out of the ground, and that's why it's a play on words when we talk about bringing water to life, but that's really what it means, that we take this water and we bring it to life through plant material, and I just love to see the dancing Groot on the screen, and it's really the best way to bring water to life is through a dancing and talking tree. But with that said, what else do we bring to life? So when you think of irrigation and what we do, you have agriculture, and we're feeding the world, right? So you have a pivot, you have some drip, feeding agriculture. What else is there? There's the baseball fields and sports turf that we irrigate, and then you have landscapes. And that's really what we're going to talk about today, is that living landscape and what benefits come from the living landscape and what it means to plant a tree, to plant a shrub, to plant something, and why it should be there, and what national initiatives are underway to promote those plants and why you should plant something. Before I introduce our speaker, this is another slide that I use all the time, but I just want to reference it today because what we're talking about here is sustainability. And our marketplace is moving the full industry to be more sustainable, whether in the landscape industry, the irrigation industry, even the agricultural industry, which is where Cheryl, our speaker's background, and who she represents, are farmers themselves who grow trees and shrubs. So everybody is driving to be more sustainable. And our focus from the irrigation side is on water efficiency. That can lead to conservation, but it leads to a lot more than just conservation as well. And there's a landscape with fewer inputs necessary. It's maintenance, chemicals, and water. It's all part of sustainability, which really is social, economic, and environmental benefits coexisting. So what does the landscape fit into that? Why should we plant something? What do trees and shrubs and even turf grass mean to the environment and to the sustainability of our industry? You know, the future, we're reducing or eliminating the use of potable water for landscape irrigation, more sophisticated and smarter irrigation systems, and then finally, a new perspective on plants in the landscape. What it means to have a living thing growing out of the ground in your landscape. What does that mean to our society? What does that mean to our environment? What does that mean to our social and economic well-being? So with that said, I am now going to introduce our speaker, who can represent Plant Something, and that's Cheryl Gore. And she's still on mute, so she can't respond to any of this quite yet. But I met Cheryl back in 2005, so I've known her for about 12 years. And when you think about leaders of industry, especially within the nursery and plant industry, I can assure you Cheryl is considered one of those industry leaders. Most states throughout the United States have state associations representing the landscape industry, nursery industry, and just from my perspective in working with national associations and working with Cheryl and other folks who represent those state associations, we all, and I say we all, the national as well, turn to Cheryl for her expertise, not only in association management, but also promoting and loving what she does, and that is plants. So with that said, I will let her go into more about what she's going to talk about and Plant Something, but I'm going to unmute her right now and welcome her to the webinar. And then we are going to also change the presenter over to you so you can fill us in on the Plant Something initiative. So Cheryl, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity, or good afternoon on the East Coast, I guess. Thank you for those kind words, John, and for really setting up the irrigation tie-in to the plants. I really, really appreciate that. We appreciate what you do. Our plants from our nursery growers and retailers would do nothing if it wasn't for the irrigation that your members give to these plants to bring them to life. So I'm thrilled today really to be able to tell the story of something that started out here in Arizona, has a path through the United States and Canada now, and it is very much a story of a grassroots effort. And like most stories, I have to start at the beginning to really sort of get you on board with what we've been doing here. So it all began with the recession, and I'm sure that you don't like to start the story in a bad place, but this is what was going on from 8 to 10. there were 8.7 million jobs were shed from the economy. I'm sure a lot of people on the call remember that and remember the effect it had on that business. So as associations, we wrestle all the time with trying to figure out what it is we're going to do to help our members, whether it's good times or bad times, and helping them move their business along. And as a 26-year association executive, I've been through the good and the bad times, and we've always tried to say associations are a place where things happen where members can't do it on their own. We don't try to step right into their business, but working together as associations, what can we do better as a group? And on the organizational chart, which John just showed it, the Irrigation Association thinks about what space they're going to be in for their association. So my members came to me and said, how can you help? What can we do? We know when people are losing their jobs, when their expendable income has gone down, plants are probably not going to be the first choice on their mind when they're just trying to make their house payment. How are we going to get a little piece of this action, and how can we position our industry to be something that they think about in this time? And oh, by the way, not only what can you do, but how can you possibly find money to do it? So that was the challenge that was happening out here in Arizona. You can imagine that the garden centers were stocked with all of these plants, and one of the things that we always talk about is our members might be growers and producers of material, but that material is living material. It is beautiful, it is live, it is a well, and with the water that goes on it, it stays alive. But when that material sits in that nursery for a long period of time, or the tree growers, it sits in that box or container, those roots start to grow, and it does have a shelf life. So not only are we in a recession where people don't have the expendable dollars, but we're also dealing with a live product that if it doesn't sell and sits in the nursery too long, plants like in this photo just become trash. But I also had growers who were taking large plant material that was root bound or girdled, and it actually would have cost them more to keep that plant rather than just start with a new plant. So that's kind of what was going on here. So what you do in an association is you get some members together, and we basically got our retail members around the table. They were the ones saying, what can we do? And they sat around the table much like this and started brainstorming and ideas. Well, it didn't get too far down the road till we said, we've got to find some funding for these ideas. And I want to go back a little bit. I'm not sure how many people on the call are familiar with the Farm Bill. But under USDA Farm Bill, there is a specialty crop block grant program. This came about because the specialty crop industry, and maybe I should go back just a little bit, nursery, your non-traditional row crops are all specialty crops, where your corn, your soybeans, those would be your row crops, but specialty crops are those vegetables as pictured here, strawberries, ornamentals, honey, things that you don't think of as a traditional crop within the Farm Bill. And I'm going to use a word called price support, something that's not very popular, but you can hear those crops within the Farm Bill have their own funding as far as price, milk, dairy, cotton. All of them have their own structure. Well, a few years back, the specialty crop industry said, is there a part for us in this Farm Bill? And so I started looking through the Ag Marketing Service and the specialty crop block grants, and Arizona got just over $1 million in 2010 to be funded through block grants to the states to increase the competitiveness of that crop. And so this whole program is built around increasing the competitiveness of the specialty crop you represent. And our members were like, wow, that's kind of like what we need, in increasing our competitiveness, getting us consumers, getting us some customers, maybe repositioning the whole way we sell our plants. So we had a meeting, we had a potential funding source, but we didn't know where to go from there. So we put in the crop, the grant, we asked for money to begin a grant program promoting our industry. And I'm pleased to report that we sit here in 2017 with just over $600,000 invested by Arizona in this program, and a lot of other money that we can't actually quantify from other states. So I actually need to, that was the beginning of the grant, but it didn't take us very long to realize that we knew how to grow plants and trees, and I have an advertising background in my degree, but we didn't know what to do from there. We got a little over $100,000. So we hired an advertising agency, Park & Co., located here in Phoenix. And we said, hey, we need your help. We know we need to promote plants. We probably need to reposition them, but we're not quite sure what to do. So actually they went back to a board table similar to what we talked about, and they asked questions all day long from our industry, pointed questions to lead us in the right direction of where we needed to go. And if you ever tried to get production nursery people and retail nurseries to sit in an all-day meeting, it was quite tough, but they got the information they needed. So they came up with a strategy for a promotion for the nursery industry. What they came up with is, remember, we're still back in the recession. It's 2010. We're starting to come out of it. There is a bit of activity going on. But what they said to us is the nursery industry can no longer afford to just be something pretty that people sit in a pot on their front porch. We're not going to be able to compete in this environment with just saying we're something pretty. They said we need to promote our environmental, our financial, and our health benefits of the products we sell. That's the space we need to be in order to provide a consumer to choose our product. We need to stay in those three areas. From that, they defined our target audience, the external audience that this would be targeted at. And in through the questions that they ask our members and our retailers and our wholesalers, the primary audience is that single family homeowner. That's still where we sit as our primary outreach for our plants. Now we know that there's a secondary market through the landscapers, to the HOAs, to the cities, the municipalities, the Parks and Rec, those other community organizations, which I'm sure as the irrigation industry, you try to reach the homeowner, you try to reach the trade. There's a lot of education on our side to be done through the HOAs and the cities on the right plant in the right place, installing your irrigation, and then actually going back and changing it as the plants grow. So we've said our primary would go to the homeowners because right now it's a retail promotion, but we do use the same messaging to the HOAs and the cities to talk about those types of things, tree guides, what plants do well in right-of-ways. So we try to use the same message to them, but our primary for this right now are homeowners. Working with the advertising agency, they developed our need, our problem that we wanted to solve. And it's those people who are seeking to enrich their home and their community. And I won't tell you on this call how long it took to us to settle on the verb enrich, but it took quite a bit of time to kind of define what it is we're trying to do. But it's that external aesthetic, and to talk about the monetary need again, the environment, which is their home and their community. We're trying to give that sense of place and talk about research that plants do that you wouldn't really think of. It's not just the pretty red on your porch. It's actually what you're adding to your community. Then they had us define our competition, and they went through and basically discretionary home improvements like painting that wall in your bedroom, getting new soft goods, installing new drapes, new blinds, things like that are the competition for the weekend project. And what the ad agency unearthed was we probably need to start defining the difference between a short-term financial benefit and just enhancing versus that long term where we're going to position our plants. So if you paint your bedroom, not to make you sad, but if you paint your bedroom, you do the new soft goods, there's not really anything that tells you when you go to sell that home a definite increase you're going to get from that. That's the short term. So the exterior design, which is what we try to sell, is our unique buying proposition. It adds that long-term value that goes, actually a monetary value, but also goes to improving the neighborhood. These are outside exterior increases to these landscapes. So we had our position, it's that natural investment, the long-term growth, the value. Again, we talked about enrich, which became to grow a richer world. That's the position and the promise of this. And then they actually had us define a personality. And this is truly, I hope everyone on the call that works in the irrigation industry or works in a nursery, we think we're kind of those creative outdoorsy types. Definitely family focused. The people who come into nurseries lots of times do it with their children and their grandchildren, and are looking for that sustainability. I know John used that word. We use that word. It's kind of been overused. We don't quite know exactly who owns it anymore, but that was in our mission for the personality of this. So all of that came about really to get us of the point of our brand statement. And the word new normal, and I don't know that you guys have kind of struggled with this, but here in Arizona, it's back. I mean, the market is back. But to say that it's what it used to be before the recession, not so much. We're calling it the new normal. We probably think it's about where it's going to be. We want the plant something movement. Our goal is a semi-radical groundswell. You can certainly evaluate that at the end of this call if we're semi-radical, but I think we're getting some groundswell. We're getting some attention, and hopefully we are motivating people that those simple, rewarding acts that they can do in their landscape actually add to a richer world. So all of those words, all that brand statement, all that personality, all those things you've seen led us to basically what you see on this slide, a small, simple plant stake. And it says plant something, and the website plant-something.org. Some other time I'll explain to you how we got the dash. The dash is a part of us. We cannot have plant without the dash, but we're plant-something.org, and we are assured through search engines that we come up to the top. But we do have a dash through a long conversation with a man who's had plant something for a very long time but doesn't do anything with it. So we're plant-something.org. The agency wanted a message. One of the things we struggle with in our industry, and I'm not sure in the irrigation industry you do the same thing, but we wanted a message that would serve our growers. It would serve our retailers. It would serve the retailer who just really focuses on bedding plants, as well as the grower who only grows 24, 36 huge box trees. How could we develop a message that everyone could use, no matter if you just sell cactus or you just sell a variety of plants? So this message, we thought, was the most simple message to say, get out there and plant something. It's not meant to be plant something and everything counts. We still want the education behind it, that you're planting the right plant in the right place. That is sustainable. That helps with the environment. But our message is plant something. And that's what was born out of all of that. And most of the grant was taken up in research and developing the logo of the promotion. I truly started out, that is 7 years ago. As you can tell, I had the one big plant stake. I have, if you can see on the right there, that's actually a picture on a stand on cardboard of what a website might look like. And we tried to see the most inexpensive thing we could order, and that roll of yellow stakes right there are what they use in the nurseries. You rip those off and you actually stick those into plants, and they identify what the plant is. So that's all I had, a plain black tablecloth and that. And I went to my first City of Phoenix sort of Earth Day event and tried to talk about this promotion and what we helped to do. The funny story about that is those yellow stakes were exactly what I told you. They were like 0.00035 cents a piece. That's what we could afford. but they actually did nothing. And so I gave them out all day long, and people are like, oh, I water these and put them in the ground and they have seeds in them. No. You know, I do this. I'm like, no. And so I finally made up it's a bookmark, and I got through the actual time. So that's where we started. Very, very humble beginnings. But after that, I went to the NLA Meeting, the Nursery and Landscape Association Executives of North America, and John referenced that in this industry, our associations work together. We believe in associations, and we believe in doing things together that we can't do alone. And I went to that meeting, and I just showed them my ideas, and I showed them my little yellow plastic things, and they were like, we love it. Can we share it? Can we get involved? What can we do? And I was like, oh, I don't know. So I basically went back to my board, and they said, fabulous. We'd like to share anything. There's strength in numbers. What should we do? So we decided to get a federal trademark. If we were going to start sharing it, we wanted to own it. We didn't want it to be anyone else's. If you have any experience in trademarks, you cannot trademark the word plant, and you cannot trademark the word plant something, because those are in the general domain. Everyone uses that. But plant something together in the green with the yellow in the logo. Actually, the Arizona Nursery Association owns the federal trademark for that, which we actually received in 2012. It took us a couple years to get everything done. So we federally trademark it, and then we went out through the nursery associations to see what we could do. I'm pleased to report that as of today, we have 24 total partners. We have 23 partners within the United States. I would say state partners, but you will see Long Island on there, and we do recognize that Long Island is not a state. We also recognize that British Columbia is not a state, which you'll see in the list. They had joined. But at the bottom, the most exciting news we've had in the last 3 months is that Canada, together as all the provinces, joined under the Canadian Nursery and Landscape Association. So we are thrilled that this is actually an international promotion. Now, they are not quite up and running yet, but they will be soon. So if you're on the call, locate your state, see what we've worked mostly through the Landscape and Nursery Associations. We do have a flower grower, as I said, with Long Island. But all of these states are a partner of this promotion. And it's a very simple partnership and simple promotion on purpose. This is supposed to be a promotional idea for the nurseries, not the be-all, end-all resource for education, for plant recommendations, because as you can see, with British Columbia, Arizona, Minnesota, and Florida, those areas are very different and have very different needs and different plants. So plant something is meant to be a common messaging, not a common solution to all plant problems. It basically stems around the website, plant-something.org. Just feel free to go to it. It is absolutely just talking about growing that richer lifestyle. Our issue, if you click on that, that's basically what's going on, how we need to plant more trees, our mission to get people to plant something, the benefits of planting, and then to the far right, we ask them to take action. The very first thing we developed together was this Imagine That video, which is a world without trees and other plants. And I'd like to show that to you right now.
Imagine a world without trees and other plants. Pretty sad, huh? So don't just stand there. Plant something. Not only will it beautify your yard, it'll lower your utility bills and raise your property value. Imagine that. To find a garden center near you, visit plant-something.org.
So that's where we started with our very first video that is on the website now. If there was any trouble hearing it, you're welcome to play that again. Very simple. You'll notice that it was only done with, I'm going to call them caricatures of people, caricatures of plants. So that way that video is just as relevant in Ohio as it is in Arizona. That was absolutely the goal of this program is so everyone can be able to get out and use all of the products. The second part of our website you'll see is find your state, find your province, where are you planted. And if you go to any of those states on here, it will click to their own website. Again, we don't want to be the end-all of information. So each one of those states either developed their own Plant Something site. If you click on Arizona, you'll see our specific Plant Something site. Other states, like I mentioned, Ohio, already had a very successful site called BuckeyeGardening.com, and they utilized that as their primary website for consumers. So again, common messaging, not telling states exactly what they have to do. We also have a very active Facebook page. We have 3,100 likes at this point. If anyone is a Facebooker, I would just encourage you to go on and like Plant Something. We post Monday, Wednesday, Friday with posts that have anything to do from vegetable gardening. Sometimes they talk about irrigation. Sometimes they talk about crafts that center around nursery things. We've also added in recipes. Our agency has told us that cooking is just off the charts in popularity right now. So we have added in some recipes as well, talking about what to use about your garden. We've got lots of insights saying how many people engage, who we reach every Monday, Wednesday, Friday with our posts. We've got all that kind of information. I would encourage you, if you are a Facebooker, to please feel free, if it fits in your business model, to share these posts. Use these posts as much as you can in your business. If you see some you like, we consider it a compliment if you share those. So if that would help you in any way, we would welcome you going ahead and sharing those posts. The partners got together. We probably had maybe 10 or 12 at this point, and they said, we love the Imagine video, but we'd really like something for Arbor Day. We in this state, we're always competing. It seems like Earth Day gets all the attention, and Arbor Day sometimes doesn't get the most attention. So we challenged our ad agency to, again, do a video. These are all 30 seconds, so we can put them on Facebook. Our members can put them on their websites. It's not something that we can't share. They're not so huge. So here's the second video we did on Arbor Day. So that really goes in. Give your loved one a gift that lasts a lifetime. That goes to that messaging of, so you give flowers, or you give a video or something like that, a CD. It's only going to be a short term, but if you go out and you give someone a tree and you plant it this weekend with your son or your daughter, that tree is going to be around. And that was the messaging that we were trying to say with that video. Again, caricature, can't tell where it is. So then we did also the second most popular holiday that we thought we could get in is that Father's Day. Some of our brochures show a grandfather with a son and then a grandbaby in those photos. So we talked about a video for Father's Day, and it's a little different. It has kind of a special effect in it. So that one actually, give the gift that gives back. So we not only wanted to talk about the long-term investment of, planting that with your dad, but also if you notice the child selected a fruit tree. And so we wanted people to start thinking about, wow, there's some fruit trees that they're very, very popular in our industry right now, the edibles. And so we tried to get that in with these simple 30-second videos. They're timeless. They can be shared. It's about time that we start promoting that one again with Father's Day coming up. Those were the couple of holidays that the agency really felt that we had a niche to go ahead and promote Plant Something with. So I'd like to show you a couple other things. So the Facebook page, the website, the videos, those are all sort of done as the states working together. But however, since Arizona started getting specialty crop block grants, each state has also gone out on their own and have gotten, Idaho's gotten some grants, Montana, everyone has some things of their own. But what I thought I would tell you is sort of what the things Arizona has. So if you'd like to know what your state has, they vary on a state-to-state basis, but I'll just give you some ideas of what we've done here. We started out with some print ads, and again, remember that whimsical or funny type, we wanted to have a little bit of humor. We started out with some, looks like if you're old enough to remember the old plant seed packet look with cash money, perennial seeds, large blooming C notes, lush. I'm not going to tell you what might be in those glasses, but the ladies enjoying themselves in the backyard, and then shady, tall, green leaf shades, shadows, savings, really trying to get into what the benefits are of those trees. Remember the monetary, environmental, and health benefits of planting trees. We did some posters that could be in the retail nurseries as well. Kind of didn't work too well. Nurseries are so, with their watering and things don't always stay as nice, but these were kind of attention-getting, turn your yard and community into an inviting oasis. Before you pour a tall, cool one, try planting one. So we tried to kind of be fun and engaging with these promotions. We actually have a brochure which we've used just at every sort of public event there is, and again, trying to bring the humor. Plant 2 of these and call us in the morning. Talking about if you're stressed out, get out there and work in your garden, and that headache's going to go away. You're going to feel better about yourself. And this brochure is really the one, and this is also on the website, and if any of you want to use any of these studies, a beautiful landscape with the first one, I'll just tell you, plants are green, money's green. Adding a beautiful landscape to a home can increase its value by up to 15% and can accelerate its sale by 5 to 6 weeks. We tried to get those studies talking about the good that trees and plants do. The cleans, freshes, and deodorizes. One tree can remove up to 26 pounds of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere annually. That's equal to 11,000 miles of car emissions. We're trying to get those things in. So if you look at the left, the grandfather and his granddaughter plant that tree or go out and do something together. So put some new life in the ground and experience what a little green can do. This is kind of our whole theme for this. The small plant stakes still exist. We have some of those. We have large plant stakes now. These are used very much by our retail nurseries when you get to the nursery to put in a plant. They really are attention grabbing. We have clings and bumper stickers. We're trying to get these out on homeowners to use them on their cars to get the messaging. In Arizona, we really like don't just stand there, plant something. That is one. Lots of states have done lots of different messaging. All we really control is the plant something stake. We've had T-shirts. Some of our members use these T-shirts on Saturdays. They put their logo on there as well. They say don't just stand there on the front, the plant something on the back. We've had aprons. Some of the retail nurseries actually wear the hats and or the aprons to promote this. Our association has promotional banners that we use in any of the trade shows that we're at where we can use our messaging. We've really tried to get some people to wrap their trucks. If you'd love to wrap your truck, let me know. All of these exist. You can put your own company logo on there. Haven't really been successful. Part of these calls, we tell you what works, what doesn't work. We haven't gotten there, but we are successful with some plant something magnetic signs. We have 3 sizes here in Arizona where we've been using these, and we've decided that our trucks and our members are mobile billboards all day long, trying to send people to our website to then go to their nursery to locate their retail garden center. We're just trying to drive traffic to the retail garden centers. We have been fortunate enough to have some digital billboard signs. If you've been to Phoenix, we have a little bit of a traffic issue in the valley, and a lot of people sit on freeways. And we've been able to do some digital billboards. We have do something shady, plant something, and do something dirty, plant something. Our agency encourages to get out of the box, get a little uncomfortable with some messaging. When you've only got 7 seconds to get a driver's attention, do something shady, do something dirty, kind of as a play on words, have been our billboards. We also, for last Arbor Day, had give the neighbors something to talk about. So we've tried to be a little humorous in what we're doing with our digital billboards, our web ads, all of those types of things, but going back to the messaging of the health, the environmental, and the monetary benefits of planting trees. The results, I'm happy to say, have actually been a 10% increase from 10 to 11, a 12% increase from 11 to 12. I know those are old statistics, but we don't have any other grants right now that have asked us to do that. The market is good, it is better. I will tell you, as an honest person, we can't take credit for all of that. The economy was coming back, but we are really trying to get our message out there. The future is what we are really debating now with the partners, with my board. We've got this, we've come this way. We still do not have sustainable funding in the millions of dollars to become the beef it's what's for dinner, the cotton, the fabric of our lives, or the got milk of our industry. And I'll just take a second, if you're not familiar with those are all marketing orders which are actually collected by the industry as they sell their product from the check and then sent to those marketing entities. Within the nursery industry, we do not have a common product, and we also sell on the retail, the landscape, the wholesale, perhaps the same plant. So we have never been able to find a way to effectively assess our industry a fee. Therefore, and it's a little more complicated in that. Some of it's the mindset of the industry members, but we've never been able to successfully pass a marketing order. So we're doing this the opposite. We decided to start at the grassroots effort and then build up with this promotion. So our future, it's sort of uncertain right now. We have a good website, we have a good Facebook page, and we've got a lot of partners. We are actually seeking a partnership or a next home or a next step for this. As I mentioned, it's run out of Arizona. I don't think I said we have a staff of 2, so it's a very small organization out here. We think we've probably grown this up to the point where we might be up for adoption. Perhaps an organization with a comparable mission, purpose, culture, values, something like that. It's not immediate, but we're talking to anyone we can. We want anyone who sees the future of this promotion. We want to talk to them. We want to talk about the environmental, monetary, and health benefits. The Irrigation Association has been awesome in giving us this call and also working with us on things. We've talked to American Horde about this. We've talked to America in Bloom. We're very, have a lot of partnerships going on with Western growers in California. We're just talking about this. We're talking about where we might be. We may be where we end up, or we may go further. But that's sort of the kinds of things that we're talking about. How can we partner as the industry grows? What could this mean? How does this tie in with other initiatives out there? So I guess what I'd like to open up, I talked really fast and for a long time now, and I went through everything. What are you thinking about? How could this fit in with some of your companies? Do you have any ideas? Do you have any questions? What more would you like to know? John, that's the from where we are to where we are today, and very honestly an assessment of where we are and where we'd like to go. So I thank you all for listening and ideas, questions, comments.
Cheryl, that was great. You know, it's funny, I during your presentation, I was enthralled by the videos and the examples and a lot of things I had no idea, and I've heard you speak about this a few times now, and I just seem to learn more every time you speak. But I noticed on our kind of inside baseball here, on our GoToWebinar platform, I can see kind of who's paying attention, who's not. And as the presentation went on, more and more people paid more attention, which is a good sign running a webinar. But I think it's just going to show the quality of information that was given was fantastic and very interesting at the same time. So I welcome any questions. Like I said, you can type them into the toolbox and ask. But one question that popped up, and I have a few questions as well, Cheryl, but one question that popped up, you know, in our industry, we are, it was the first question that popped up, we are always hearing about right plant, right place, and I know you referenced that. And one thing that I saw that was not unique but interesting about the Plant Something initiative in the promotion is, you know, ask your nursery or go to your nursery retailer. Is this initiative to really drive the consumers to the experts to learn more about, okay, I want to plant something, you know, what's the right plant? Because in a lot of areas, I know that you can't really be reckless with whatever you plant. So is that one of the goals of the of this initiative?
Yes, that is a basic tenet of this initiative. We recognized that there is no way we can be the experts in this, nor would we ever endeavor to be the expert as the association. So what we do is these are locators to the local nursery to ask for the information that they need. So absolutely, we are driving homeowners and consumers to a local nursery to get the information they need in their area.
Good. And I'll go to one of my questions, and I'll go back to another one that was just asked. So we have members throughout the United States, and I say members as folks involved in the nursery industry. They could be the manufacturers or the landscape industry. They can be manufacturers, they can be distributors, they could be contractors, the one that have the face-to-face with the homeowner talking about their landscape and what kind of irrigation they should install, and some might even talk about plant design. But if I guess the specific question that I have is, in your chart, and I just took you off the screen so you can't go back and reference it, but the chart of states that you had where they exist, and if you missed it, I encourage you to go back and view the recording and look at those states again. But if their state did not exist, what should they do? Who can they talk to about either supporting or help promote this initiative that you guys have?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So because I said we'll go back to we're a staff of 2, and I've been managing this along with my day job, we have been working through the Nursery and Landscape Association executives. That was really the way that I thought I could wrap my arms around it. They're my colleagues. I know many of them anyway. So you would call your local Nursery and Landscape Association and say, hey, I saw this presentation. I've heard about Plant Something. Have you guys talked about it? Have you considered it? And by the way, get in touch with Cheryl Gore, and she'll be happy to give you what you need, whatever process their association might need. But we're really trying to work through the associations. We have had a couple retail nurseries and wholesale nurseries call me and ask if they could just get involved, and we have really protected that for the nursery associations. As a believer of associations and what they can do, I don't want to circumvent the association in any state and just sign on a nursery itself. So go to your local Nursery and Landscape Association and see if you can encourage them to join in the partnership of Plant Something.
This doesn't stop someone to just share those videos on Facebook or any kind of social media, though, correct? They can just do that from their company page, right, without having to get any permission or talking to the state associations?
Yes,
right?
anything that's in the public realm, let me make a clarification. Anything that's in the public realm, the Facebook, the website, you can share that all you want. The stickers, the things that we actually give out to our members are controlled by the states. Mm-hmm. So if you called Idaho and you weren't a member, that would be up to them to say whether they'd give you the banners or whatever they have. But anything that's in the public domain, my board feels that the more shares, the more likes, the better we can get out this information. It just grows the actual national campaign.
Yeah, and I know we've gotten a few questions now, and it all kind of, I feel like our industry is really nervous around saying go plant more when California is just getting out of a drought. I mean, Arizona was also affected by that western drought, and we're going out there saying plant more, plant more, plant more. That value of the plant material is really at the core because it takes resources to grow plants, whether it's a tree or a shrub or whatever you have in your landscape. It takes resources. It takes water, etc. So looking at those values, such as cooling homes, et cetera. And I guess my question is, I'm trying to combine several questions into one. This is an opportunity for our members to work with their local nursery associations, like the California Nursery, I forget the acronym in California, but the California Nursery Association, to work with them on specific, I guess, ways they can promote these plants in their state. What would resonate better in their state? Does that sound right to you, Cheryl?
Sure, I think I'd work with my state, and I would try to use it as an opportunity. Now, certainly we're not going to say just get out there and plant stuff when it is not needed. Perhaps
right.
you can turn the conversation to retrofitting from turf to low water use plants in Southern California, to making sure you have the right plant in the right place, to talk about perhaps if you are going to make the decision to plant something and use that water, maybe you should consider a fruit-bearing tree. You get the food as well, to make wise decisions about. That's probably the one downside I've gotten, is we don't like plant something. It just means don't even think about what you're doing. Well, no, it's not what we meant. It's the initial message to then go jump from that to what's the right plan in the right place? What is really a good decision for me? Is the savings on my electric bill worth the extra water I'll be using in my landscape? But if I work with my Irrigation Association member and get it irrigated properly, I'm not wasting water, I'm not running water into the street, do the best plant with the best watering system for that plant, and actually the environment's going to be better off by the energy savings and things like that. Everything in life is a choice, and I guess what we hope that people do is they make the informed decision for them.
Yeah, and I think, we got several more questions, really going on the same lines, talking about design work, et cetera. And I think going back to what part of the original question was, drive them to an expert, work with your local nursery, work with a landscape professional, and that's really what this message is getting all about, correct?
Absolutely. This is just to get the idea that a homeowner has a conversation on Thursday night about, should we do something in our yard this weekend? More than if they've been watching HGTV, say, should we put barn wood on the wall?
Right.
The part of the conversation to think about the long-term benefits of really working on the exterior of your home.
Great. And someone just texted in. It's the California Association of Nurses and Garden Centers. I forgot that acronym. I apologize for those in California. I used to work very closely with them, so I apologize. That's the last question we had, Cheryl. So I'm just going to go ahead and advance the slide one more and talk about our future webinars, and then we'll thank you for attending, Cheryl. It was a great presentation, really informative, and we, from the Irrigation Association perspective, look forward to continuing our working with you and promoting this initiative. We think it's great. Whatever we can do to drive people to even think about their landscape, plant more, promote the value of plant material, that's really what we're all about, and so it's really appreciated.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No problem. And looking forward to our series here, our next one's going to be on June 8th, moving to the focus on the agricultural side in the Mississippi River Basin. We've gotten a lot of comments. We focus a lot in the West only, and so we're going to go out east and talk to the Mississippi State Conservationists about what's going on in ag irrigation in the Mississippi River on June 8th. The continues on in June 20th with WaterSense, June 29th about irrigated ag once again, and then July 13th about water infrastructure. More information can be found at irrigation.org/webinar_series, or just go to irrigation.org and click on education and click on webinars. You can get all the information there. Again, Cheryl, thank you very much. That was fantastic. To everyone who attended, thank you very much. We'll send you an email with this recording in the next few days. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll go back to my email address. Any suggestions for future webinars, be more than happy to hear you out and consider any and all topics related to water use. But again, thanks a lot for attending, and thank you again, Cheryl.